Welcome to the weekly shir of Zera Shimshon. It's Hashem. This is Yud Beis Elul Tafshin Pei Aleph. A couple of more weeks, and this is Parshat Tetzei. This is called the reward for Shiluach HaKain. Ki Yikare Kain Sipor. Excuse me. Ki kori kan sipor lefonecho, shalech teshalach esaim esabonim tikach lach. When there's a bird's nest in your midst, you shall send away the mother, and you may take the young for yourselves. Don't say the reason we do the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKain is sending away the mother bird before taking her chicks or eggs is because Hashem's mercy extends to period. Quote somebody, right? That we should say that it's Hashem's mercy that we should have on the bird. No, it's gezeres. If someone tries to make a connection between sending away the mother and mercy, he is silenced. That means if somebody's praying, and the Gemara in Bracha says, Daf 33b, that if he gets up to davening, he says, Yirachamecho, we will tell him to be quiet. Shot kimoto, right? You can make him quiet, because this mitzvah is not about whether Hashem is merciful. It is about fulfilling a decree of our King issued. It is not our place to try to decipher his intentions or motivations, says the Gemara. And yet, the Midrash in Devarim Rabbah says that just as Hashem has mercy on animals, he shows mercy on birds as well. How do Chazal know that? From our verse, when there's a bird's nest in your midst, so you bring a raya from Shiluach HaKain. So and we know V'racham al kol masov, Hashem's merciful on all creatures. So how can we resolve this contradiction? Doesn't this prove that the mitzvah of sending away the mother is about mercy of the Rebbeinu Shalom? Another point to consider, the Midrash continues. The reward for some mitzvahs is honor. The reward for other mitzvahs is wealth. The reward for Shiluach HaKain is children. It says you may take the young for yourself. Seems like taking away the children from the mother. Why is this particular mitzvah rewarded with children? Zera Shimshon answers the last question by citing the Midrash that says that fulfilling the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKain will hasten the arrival of Mashiach. Another puzzle. The Gemara in Yevamos Daf 62a tells that when Mashiach will arrive, Mashiach will only arrive when all the neshamas are waiting in the heavenly treasure house known as the Guf, which literally means the body, but there's a place in heaven that keeps those neshamas that have been taken from there. Since this mitzvah hastens Mashiach's arrival, it is reasonable to assume that it will also give the one who does it the merit of having children, since every last soul in heavenly treasure house must be sent out before Mashiach arrives. However, we still need to understand why Mashiach's arrival is connected to this particular mitzvah. The Zohar Chodosh in Rus brought in the Shach's commentary on this parsha tells us that when a person does Shiluach HaKain, the mother bird is filled with tremendous pain over her missing offspring and cannot find peace and wants to kill herself. This causes incredible pain to the angel in charge of the birds who comes before Hashem seeking mercy for the mother bird. When this happens, Hashem too is filled with mercy and says, if this angel is seeking mercy for the bird in his care, I, the merciful God and the source of all mercy in the world, must surely have mercy on my children. Woe that I destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. While it is true that the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKain arouses heavenly mercy, it is not right to say that Hashem decreed this mitzvah because He is merciful. He's merciful anyway. The mercy is a byproduct of the mitzvah and stems from his having mercy on the angel in charge of birds. To us, this mitzvah may seem like to be an act of cruelty. It causes the mother bird to cry in pain. So where is the mercy? That's why a person who says his mercy extends to a nest of birds is silenced. He's not allowed to say that in the prayers. While it is true that the end result of the mitzvah will be a huge dose of mercy for the Jewish people, the main reason for its fulfillment is because we are commanded to do so by the Ribbono Shel Olam and not for any other reason. So says the Zera Shimshon. And we have a short segula. It was just before the 6th of Elul, a few days before Parshat Shoftim, which was the yard site from the tzaddik, Zera Shimshon last week, and I wanted to do something extra special to commemorate the yard site of the Zera Shimshon, which fell out on that day. I put together a newsletter that was significantly larger than the one we normally printed, and I decided that we would also distribute it more widely this 1 week at shuls all across Borough Park and Williamsburg. As everyone knows, when a person is trying to do a good deed, the Yetzer Hara chimes in and tries to stop it. He does his best to get in the way and slow things down. A million different things happened that Friday, and I understood that the extra special yard site edition would only be ready to leave the printers on Friday afternoon, significantly complicating an already busy day. If the papers had been ready on time, the distribution would have been able to take care of. But now it was mid-Friday afternoon, and just the thought of taking on such a giant task by myself was extremely daunting. Yid git sich an eitze, as they say in Yiddish, and I began mentally reviewing the list of people whom I could call to help me do this important and difficult task. I felt some hesitation before you put somebody in a situation where he isn't kind of compelled to help you. You want to make sure that he's really okay with it. I narrowed down a list of people I might call and decided to try my good friend Rabbi Ari Resnick, not a real name of course, who not only has a warm spot in his heart for Zera Shimshon, but is also Baal Chesed par excellence. Rabbi, I said when he answered the phone, this is your Chaver Benjamin Pashkes, calling to ask you if you are interested in doing a mitzvah. When he heard what I needed him to do, he didn't hesitate, merely asking me where we should meet. He drove over to the printers, began to help me to move the stacks of Torah papers into the car. After we'd finished loading the vehicle, we began the arduous task of driving around to each and every shul, mikveh in Brooklyn and Williamsburg. We know that what traffic can be like on a Friday afternoon in the congested streets of Borough Park, but Rabbi smiled his way through the stress of beeping horns and triple parked cars. And the two of us worked tirelessly to carry out our self-appointed task. Spending hours distributing Torah sheets over Brooklyn was fine with me. I knew exactly what I was getting myself into and chose to do it. But Rabbi had gone out of his way in every sense of the word. This was not his project, and he was not the type of person to spend an entire Erev Shabbos jumping in and out of his car, and he had done so with a smile. When he finished the job and we were driving home, he said, Rabbi, I have no doubt that you will be rewarded for the tremendous effort that you invested today to spread Torah of the Zera Shimshon. I feel sure that you will see major bracha in your life in the near future. We parted a few minutes later with a warm handshake and wishes of good Shabbos, and then began to get ready for Shabbos. We hadn't been apart for more than an hour when Rabbi called me. Long time no see, I greeted him. You missed me already? Rabbi Yamin, he replied, you're not going to believe this. What happened? You know that I play music for a living, right? Go on. Okay. In my field, clients normally book you for a job months in advance. It's extremely rare for someone to call you for a job a week in advance. If that happens, it means something fell through and there's an emergency. Anyway, that's exactly what happened to me 10 minutes ago. Someone called me and asked me if I was available for a job next week. that the unexpected business came my way so soon after we finished distributing the Torah of Zera Shimshon around Brooklyn, and so soon after your beautiful bracha seemed a type of coincidence, quote unquote, that you needed to know about. Of course, Rabbi Yeoman was very moved by the story, yet not surprised. It was par for the course when it came to the Zera Shimshon, especially when such an incident took place on his yard site. Okay, so hopefully that makes up for my forgetting about the yard site last week. And everybody have a wonderful Shabbos and a Gemar Chasim Atayvas, a good Gebench Dior.